everyone, I'm Colleen. Welcome back to my channel, Colleen Medley Makes. I'm an East Coast native, currently living car-free in Southern California, DIYing my way through renter-friendly apartment updates. Subscribe to follow along. Welcome to my rental refresh series, where I transform my Southern California rental apartment from a millennial gray box to a cozy eclectic home. My goal for this series is to find affordable, rental-friendly solutions that give our apartment major personality with minimal effort. I'm determined to elevate our space with clever solutions and secondhand finds to bring it both personality and style. And I hope you'll join me. Today, it's episode 3 of Rental Refresh, and we're tackling my bedroom. Let's flash back to what this space looked like before we moved in. It's a decent sized room, which is great because we upgraded to a king bed when we made this move, and it has lots of great storage with large mirrored closets. There is a window in the corner, but this room doesn't get a ton of natural light in the way that the rest of our apartment does. Right after we moved in, we purchased this king size upholstered bed frame from Living Spaces and a king size mattress from Helix Sleep. We were able to bring our bedside tables from our previous apartment, which I had sourced through Facebook Marketplace back in New York City, but I believe these bedside tables were originally sold at Target. We also brought this leather recliner chair with us from New York City, which we actually scored for free when one of our neighbors was getting rid of it. Shortly after moving in, I also found the bedside table lamps on Facebook Marketplace, and we picked up the bedding from Target. So at this point in time, the bedroom is really giving sad beige. The walls and the bed frame and the duvet are essentially all the same color, so it's all blending together and there's really no contrast. So the primary goal of this makeover is add a bit more interest to the room with some color and texture and layers, but we still do want it to be a very calming space and a mellow vibe, so I don't want to go too bold or colorful. It will still be fairly simple and neutral, but I think we can make some impactful changes that upgrade the room a bit without spending too much money. In a perfect world, I would love to add color to this room with wallpaper or paint, but we're really only focused on temporary changes right now. I also would love to upgrade the bedding to something more colorful or patterned, but that's just not in the budget. So for this makeover, we're really working with what we've got, plus some inexpensive finds and secondhand pieces. So let's dive in. Okay, so I'm starting to work on my bedroom makeover. I got some accent pillow inserts in an IKEA order, which I unboxed in my previous video all about making over this loft. So I have those piled up here. I ordered some pillow covers on Etsy, which I'm super excited to unbox now. Ooh, beautiful. So these are a nice, like kind of thicker material. I love the colors of the blues and greens, kind of coastal feel is what I'm going for with the bedroom color palette. And I mean, really the apartment as a whole clearly has kind of a blue color palette, but leaning into kind of softer, lighter blues and greens and kind of seafoam colors. I think this is perfect to kind of pull all of that together. The quality looks really beautiful. I'll link the Etsy shop below, but the shop was called Elemento Pillows, and these are hand sewn in the US. Love to support a women-owned business with product that's made in the US. Now, I did significantly size down on the size of the pillow covers versus the size of the pillows, just because I wanted them to be really fluffy and full. These inserts are a bit more flat, so I thought it was important to have the pillow cover be a bit smaller. So the primary way that I wanted to add some interest and personality to the bedroom was through artwork. I had some existing wood picture ledges from my previous apartment that I thought would work well, particularly with the color of the bedside tables and the wood accents on the bed frame. Picture ledges are a great way to add dimension to your space and create a layered look with your artwork. So I started by figuring out the placement of my picture ledges and then screwed them into the walls. I placed one of the picture ledges centered above the bed, since that wall space was feeling very blank and blending in with the color of the bed frame, and then staggered the other two on the large wall next to the bed. Because the closets are mirrored, hanging artwork on this wall has kind of a compounded effect, since you can see the artwork reflected in the mirrors. In a previous video on my channel, I created a gallery wall in my entryway. Definitely check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. But in doing so, I used up a lot of the large frames that I had already had and a lot of the artwork that we'd already gathered over the years. So I needed to source a bunch of frames and artwork to fill out my picture ledges. Since the goal with this project was to be as frugal as possible, I went straight to my local Goodwill to pick up some secondhand frames. And luckily I was able to find a bunch in a variety of sizes and for really reasonable prices. Definitely check out my most recent thrift haul video to see all of the secondhand items that I picked up. My next task was to find artwork to put into my secondhand frames. This was strangely a really challenging task for me. I usually like the artwork in my home to have meaning or a story behind it. I'd already used the bulk of the art pieces that my partner and I have collected over the years in my gallery wall project. So I kind of needed to start from from scratch here and was more focused on the color palette and the vibe as opposed to having every art piece tell a story. So I searched for a while on Etsy and was able to find a super inexpensive pack of downloadable vintage art prints that included landscapes and flowers, all in the color palette that I was looking for. This is a really inexpensive way to get a lot of art prints, and there are tons of options that you can look through to find something that suits your space. So once I chose my prints and the sizes that I needed for the frames that I had, I ordered some matte photo prints from Poster Jack, but there are lots of places where you can get art prints printed, even just your local Walgreens or CVS. Once I received the art prints in the mail, I was ready to get them into the frames. Some of the frames had artwork in them that was professionally framed, so the backing was fully stapled, making it a bit challenging to take the backing off. I had never done this before, so it was a bit of a learning curve and definitely took some more elbow grease than I was anticipating, but I used pliers to pull the staples back from the backing so that I could remove the back piece and access the artwork inside, which in some cases included a mat, which I had to then separate from the artwork so that I could mat my new art pieces. Once I had removed everything and thoroughly cleaned the glass, I then placed my new art prints into the frame, returned the backing to the back of the frame, and then once again used my pliers to pull the staples, this time pressing them back into the backing to hold it in place. I then repeated this process for each frame, which was a bit tedious and time consuming, but worth it once I saw all my pieces framed. So once my inexpensive art prints were in my thrifted frames, I was ready to pull everything together and finish the room. I started by placing all of my frames on my picture ledges, and then I moved on to the bedding. To add more interest to the bed, I picked up a blue blanket at HomeGoods and folded it across the bed, which helped to break up all of the shades of beige. I also added in my new blue and green patterned accent pillows and finished the bed off with a green lumbar pillow that I'd previously purchased from Target. I styled the bedside tables very simply and practically, primarily with books and a bowl to corral odds and ends, plus some dried lavender in a thrifted vase. Okay, the bedroom makeover is now complete. This is what the bedroom looked like before, and here's what it looks like now. If you're curious to see the rest of my apartment, definitely check out my apartment tour video for a walkthrough of the full space. Thanks so much for coming along on episode 3 of Rental Refresh, as I made simple but impactful changes to upgrade my bedroom. I hope you enjoyed it and gained some inspiration for your own space. I'm excited to wrap up this series with making over our main living space and then giving you an updated tour of the full apartment. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the videos in this series, as well as other content about home decor, wedding planning, and car-free living. Lots of exciting things to come.